Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching The Right Stand here on CNN News 18 with me, Poonam Burde. On Sunday, India will get a new parliament, a new and improved one, a building that has a shelf life of 150 years. It can accommodate more MPs than the existing one. It'll also be an earthquake-proof one. It'll have the vision of a new India as claimed by the central government. Now, it will be thrown open and dedicated to the nation this Sunday by the Prime Minister, 29 months after the groundbreaking ceremony. And much like back then in December 2020, this project continues to be in the midst of controversies even today. The new building, but the same politics. The opposition's charge is that the Modi-led government is breaching all protocols and undermining propriety with this vanity project. They claim that this is nothing but a PR exercise for the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister's very own vanity project is what they called it. Like I said, this new parliament building is mired in controversies ever since the announcement of the project, ever since the groundbreaking ceremony took place. And as far as that groundbreaking ceremony took place, the opposition alleged that the Bhumi Pujan was done by the Prime Minister as per Hindu rituals. Other religions were reduced to being bystanders, and that in itself is an affront to the basic tenet of the constitution, which is secularism. That was the allegation made back then. The Congress condemned the construction of the Parliament building during the COVID-19 crisis as well. They asked whether providing supply of oxygen to people that were suffering was more important, or was the construction of the Prime Minister's Mahal more important? The Congress then called the Central Vista project a colossal waste of money. Last year, when Prime Minister Modi unveiled the national emblem atop the new Parliament, the opposition claimed the lions in the emblem looked angry. They were aggressive and authoritarian, as this government is what they alleged. The opposition also attacked the government for not inviting them for the unveiling ceremony of the national emblem. Now, when this project plan was released, the Congress back then took a jibe at the new parliament and at the government. They claimed that the design was similar to that of United States' Pentagon. What was the problem in that, they never said, but they said, why copy something that already exists? Now, 19 opposition parties issued a joint statement today. They described in explicit detail the reasons for why they're opposing the inauguration of the new parliament building. They want President of India, Draupadi Murmu, to inaugurate the new parliament. They said it's not right for the Prime Minister to do so. The opposition claimed that the Prime Minister has completely sidelined the President and ignored and insulted the President's office. They called this move an undignified act. It insulted the highest constitutional position of this country, which is the President's office. In this particular statement that was released, the opposition alleged that the Prime Minister has relentlessly hollowed out the Parliament. Some very strong words were used in that statement, where the opposition said that the centre had sucked out the soul of democracy from the Parliament, which is why they don't feel the need for this new building at all, let alone them being in attendance when that inauguration happens. But is this criticism valid of the opposition? The central government and the BJP has outrightly rejected these allegations. They say it's nothing but a needless provocation and a needless controversy. The opposition is finding faults when none exist, is what the central government came out and said. They even cited precedents from the Congress's time to counter this criticism. Let's take a look at some of the past inaugurations of legislative buildings. In 1975, Indira Gandhi inaugurated the Parliament House Annex. In 1981, Indira Gandhi inaugurated the new Maharashtra Assembly. She was not a member of the Assembly then. Why then was she present, asked the BJP. In 1987, Rajiv Gandhi laid the foundation stone of the Parliament Library building. In 2010, then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh inaugurated the Tamil Nadu Secretariat. The next year, Manmohan Singh and Sonia Gandhi inaugurated the Manipur Assembly. In 2014, Jharkhand and Assam Chief Ministers laid the foundation stones for their new assemblies, but the governors were not invited. That too was breach of protocol, as a reminder from the BJP to the opposition. In 2018, the Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister laid the foundation stone of the new assembly. Then again, the governor was not invited, claims the BJP. Cut to 2019. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar inaugurated the Central Hall in the Assembly. Again, there was a breach of protocol, they say. In 2020, not too long ago, Sonia Gandhi led the foundation stone of the new Chhattisgarh Assembly. The governor was not invited back then again. This year, Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao inaugurated the new assembly building. Again, who was missing? The governor. So is this not breach of protocol, or is protocol and propriety an excuse of convenience, asked the BJP. So is this politics petty? Is this politics needed? Is this what the new India needs? That's the big debate on The Right Stand tonight.
parliament is Rashtrapati. See, Prime Minister is the leader of the Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha, Piyush Goyal is the leader. So who is the main leader? Main leader is Rashtrapati.
हम लोगों का मानना है कि राष्ट्रपति जी जो हैं उनसे जो है उद्घाटन कराना चाहिए था, क्योंकि पार्लियामेंट के जो हेड होते हैं एक तरह से वो राष्ट्रपति ही होते हैं.
Sidelining the President of India, the importance which has to be given to the President is not being given, and a lot of things today, do not have the decorum which it should be having.
हमने तो भारत सरकार ने सबको विनंती किया है कि आप उपस्थित रहिए, सब अपनी अपनी भावना के अनुसार करेंगे.
ये एक निराधार बहस विपक्ष की ओर से उठाने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है, और ऐसा भी नहीं है कि इनके शासनकाल में इस तरह के उद्घाटन नहीं हुए इनके प्रधानमंत्रियों द्वारा.
Is this a game of one-upmanship between the centre and the BJP and the opposition? Is the politicization over parliament what the country needs? Joining me on this broadcast, spokesperson of the BJP, Guru Prakash Paswan, spokesperson of the Congress, M Kumaramangalam, also with me, and B.K. Agnihotri, former Secretary General of the Rajya Sabha and former Secretary of Parliamentary Affairs with the Union Government, also joins us on this broadcast. And M Kumaramangalam, I'd like to begin by asking you. Many say within the BJP and the central government that you've attended several such inaugurations of assemblies of different buildings within the parliament. At that time, there was no hue and cry made. Why then now make this about the Prime Minister and about his so-called vanity project, when what we should be celebrating is the country getting a new parliament building? It is about the country and the people of the country.
I agree with you. It is very much about the country and the people of the country and the constitution of our country, which in Article 79 very clearly says that the president and the two houses are what the parliament is comprised of. And so ignoring the president, not only in the inauguration, but also the then president in the foundation laying ceremony, is completely inappropriate. That is our main point, and that's the point that we've stressed in our letter more than anything else. And in return, in response, all the BJP has come up with is past incidents with inaccurate or incomplete information. So, for example, you in your introduction mentioned that the late Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, had inaugurated the Parliament Annex in 1975. What you failed to mention was that it was President V.V. Giri who laid the foundation stone of that same very Parliament. In 2002, the Parliament Library was inaugurated by then President Mr. K.R. Narayanan. If you look at this government, President Govind, despite being the Supreme Commander of the Defence Forces, were not even invited to the inauguration of the National War Memorial in 2019. This Prime Minister seems to believe that he must occupy center stage on every event, regardless of what that event might be. He doesn't believe that he's first among equals on his cabinet either, as he rushes off to every single state to flag off a Vande Bharat train. I understand his need to be in the center of, or rather be the center of attention wherever he is. But when it comes to a parliament, it represents the will of the entire nation. It isn't just one person's sort of stage to celebrate his own self-importance and increase his visibility, which he always likes to do.
Sure.
So I would reiterate our points in the letter, which is basically that we believe the president is a fundamental part of parliament. I mean, for God's sake, the president has to sign off for any bill in from parliament to become law. And for them not to be present at such a solemn occasion is disgraceful, to say the least.
Sure, it's a disgrace to the President's office, Guru Prakash Paswan, says the opposition. They've used some very scathing words in that statement that has come out. They said that the BJP is sucking out the soul of democracy from the very temple of democracy.
Poonam, a very warm good evening to you and all my fellow panelists. Since the morning we have been debating this, and the hollowness and the hypocrisy of the opposition is also on the surface now. So look at this travesty of the observations of the opposition party, especially the Congress party. So the Congress party opposed the selection of the first ever tribal woman president in the 75 years of our history. They did not want Draupadi Murmu to become the President of India. They opposed her election tooth and nail. Point number one. Point number two, Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, leader of the Congress party in the Lok Sabha, what was the term he used for the Honorable President who comes from the tribal community? I cannot even say it here. The official national spokespersons of the Congress party, Mr. Ajay Kumar, Mr. Udit Raj, the Congress party has time and again insulted the office of President because she comes from a tribal background. We need to understand that the Congress party is an organization with a feudal mindset. There is a history of Congress party because they are not willing to accept anyone who is outside the first family. They are not willing to accept the fact that a humble chaiwala, a person from an extremely backward caste, a person who has seen humble origins is inaugurating the Parliament of India. They cannot simply digest the fact. But you look at it historically, Poonam, you would understand the Congress party insults Baba Saheb Ambedkar. The Congress party insulted Babu Jagjeevan Ram. The Congress party insulted its own national president, Mr. Sitaram Kesri. So the Congress party has a trajectory. The Congress party has a history. Congress party is a feudal institution that cannot see anyone emerge as a vocal voice, emerge as a leader from the disadvantaged community. But I'm thankful to the friends from media for exposing the sheer hypocrisy of the Congress party, that they will speak about Dalits, they will speak about tribals whenever it is convenient for them.
Sure.
But they will oppose the Dalits and tribals when they reach the highest constitution office in the country. This is the true face, and this is the highest
It's
order
double
of
standards of the opposition,
hypocrisy by the Congress
especially
party,
of
which
the
is on
Congress
surface
party,
here.
M Kumaramangalam. That's the allegation you face.
How are these double standards? Let me ask the BJP in return. Did they not oppose the election of Pratibha Patil when we put her up for president as well? The election of the president is fought between two different ideologies. Opposing Mrs. Murmu's candidature from this side was about a fight between two political parties' ideologies. It wasn't to oppose her identity. Once she became a president, we gave her the required respect. What I wonder is if the BJP, who is claiming that they have given their president, or our president rather, the entire respect required, why isn't she invited? Why wasn't Mr. Govind invited either to the foundation laying ceremony? Why are they not invited, and why is it only the Prime Minister who wants to take center stage in these events that are supposedly about the entire population of our country? This represents the will of the people, as I'm saying again. So this charge of hypocrisy on the basis of us opposing Mrs. Murmu's candidature in the presidential election is ridiculous. It's fuzzy logic. As I reiterate, why did they oppose then the candidature of Mrs. Pratibha Patil back in the day when we were putting her up for president? What is their response to that? So these are baseless allegations. The fundamental problem is the Prime Minister, the deeply insecure man who wants to be at the center of every possible inauguration, whether that is a small train to a Twitter profile to now the parliament. He does not want to give space for any protocol or any propriety as long as he enjoys the entire frame of the camera.
So it's about your insult versus mine, your propriety versus mine. Is that what we've come down to, Guru Prakash Paswan? Why would the BJP, why would the central government not invite the vice president, who also happens to preside over the Rajya Sabha sessions? The president and the vice president both are kept out of this particular solemn occasion. If it is one to celebrate, then why keep out certain people? Is that not a fair question to ask of the BJP?
Poonam, I was patiently listening to my friend from the Congress party, and we definitely don't need any certificate from any of the leaders from the Congress party when it comes to the popularity of the Honorable Prime Minister. We saw what a historic and a remarkable reception he received in Australia. We saw the photo ops with the Honorable Head of State from Papua New Guinea. We are the 5th largest economy. We are hosting the G20. So we absolutely not need any sort of certification from the Congress party.
Again,
Point
this
number
is nonsensical.
2. I generally do not. I did not speak when you were speaking,
Mr.
sir.
Kumaramangalam, you had your time.
False claims.
Poonam,
Let him
G20 is
respond.
by rotation. If you're taking
Poonam,
part
can
in
I-
that, then good
Sure,
luck to you.
but
Poonam,
sure,
can
let
I
him
come in?
respond. Yes, Mr.
Poonam,
Paswan,
yeah.
go ahead.
Poonamji, I think whenever we speak of constitutional propriety, we should also follow it, and just not for lip service. Let's just observe some constitutional principle. So yeah, point number 2. I generally do not indulge in whataboutery, but I have hundreds of such examples. You mentioned about Manipur. There is an example from Chhattisgarh Naveen Vidhan Sabha Bhavan, which was inaugurated by Madam Sonia Gandhi. In what capacity? She is neither a member of Legislative Assembly of Chhattisgarh Vidhan Sabha, nor the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, nor the Governor of Chhattisgarh. In what capacity did Sonia Gandhi ji participate in that inauguration of Chhattisgarh Vidhan Sabha Bhavan? Atal Tunnel Project, Raebareli Rail Coach Factory, 100 of such other significant projects are there, of which Sonia Gandhi ji was part. We have to understand one very simple and clear thing. The Congress party cannot think beyond the first family. The Congress party cannot think beyond Sonia Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Robert Vadra. It is clear that they cannot digest the fact, they cannot accept the fact that a humble tea seller, a humble person has achieved this height and is inaugurating the Sansad Bhavan. They cannot simply accept the fact. That's the fact of the matter.
Sure. So it's your leaders being present at occasions where they weren't really required to, versus why are you not inviting those people to such occasions that need to? Meanwhile, I want to get in a word from a neutral party as well. V.K. Agnihotri has been patiently listening to all the allegations and counter-allegations that have been made. But V.K. Agnihotri, as a former Secretary of Parliamentary Affairs, someone who's worked closely with the government, I want to ask you, is this just a matter of politics, or is there really a breach of protocol as the opposition alleges?
Well, I'm glad to participate in this debate, but I would like to make a clear distinction between the parliament and the parliament building. What is being talked about now is parliament building, and the president is definitely the head of the parliament. And as per the constitution, he is required to address the first meeting of the parliament, joint sitting or the two houses sitting together every year. So that is a more important role for the president than inaugurating projects here and there, which is the job of the executive. That is my view.
Mr. Mohan Kumaramangalam, you've had someone who's worked with the government in the past, a UPA government in the past, where he was Secretary of Parliamentary Affairs. He says there's a distinction that has to be made. The fine print is important. It may not be as much as a breach of protocol as the opposition would like the country to believe. Mr. Kumaramangalam, can you hear me? I believe we do not have that line with the Congress spokesperson. We'll try and reconnect with Mr. Kumaramangalam, but Guru Prakash Paswan of the BJP continues to be with us. Now, Mr. Paswan, the Congress's allegation for the precedents that the BJP narrates is that you cannot compare a parliament building to legislative buildings or different buildings within the parliament annex. It's not a fair comparison to make. It's comparing apples to oranges.
Now, we must understand that we live in a federalism, and federalism, there is no arrangement or there is no hierarchy as such. A legislative assembly is as important as a parliamentary building, and I am thankful to the Secretary General from the former Secretary for the Parliament Affairs Secretary who has made it very clear, who has made it sufficiently clear that the institution of Parliament, the constitutional definition of Parliament and Parliament, the building are two different things. The opposition is clearly misleading here, and like I said, it is the habit of the opposition party. And you look at the history, you look at the National War Memorial, similar hue and cry was made. You look at the unveiling of the statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, similar hue and cry was made. You look at the renaming of Rajpath to Kartavya Path, similar hue and cry was made. You look at the change of song in the beating retreat ceremony, similar hue and cry was made. I want to quote an article from The Guardian. The Guardian came out with an editorial on 26th of May 2014, India's new tryst with destiny. And that article in The Guardian categorically observed that 26th of May 2014 is the day when the British finally left India. Because as long as Congress was in power, there was some semblance of British government in India. Why cannot we think independently? Why can we not think of Atmanirbhar Bharat? Today, we have an India which is assertive, which is aspirational. We are the global pharmacy of the world. Everyone is looking at us. We are the voice of the global south. We are the new leader. We are shaping the contours of the global political discourse. why should we not have our own parliament building?
Sure.
This is a resilient infrastructure. This is indication of Atmanirbhar Bharat, and the Congress party must accept it without any hue and cry.
Sure. Mr. Kumaramangalam, if you're back with us, if you heard what Mr. Agnihotri had to say before I went to Mr. Paswan, he says that there is a difference between the parliament as an institution and the parliament building. The opposition is cherry-picking in this particular case. The affront, as you claim, to the president's office is not really the case, because this is just about a building. It's not about the institution of the parliament.
I don't agree with Mr. Agnihotri, and I feel that he's maybe making more light of this occasion than he should be. It is a fairly momentous occasion. And I want to, besides saying that, go back to a little bit of what Mr. Paswan was saying before, when he said that we can't seem to look beyond one family. I want to say that I don't think they can look beyond one man in their party. I applaud the Prime Minister for coming from whatever alleged origins he's come from. We have no problem with that. But the problem here is that whether it is a small train being launched, whether it is a building being inaugurated, whether it is a stadium that he's named after himself in Gujarat, the Prime Minister seems to want to be at the center of every event and not take everybody along. If he is as popular as Mr. Paswan says he is abroad as well as in states, if his road shows and his come to Jesus rallies, if you will, like he did in
Mr.
Karnataka.
Kumaramangalam, let's get to the point. I'm running short of time on this debate. You've already said this. Yes, get to the point.
I'm getting to the point. Yes, I am trying to get to the point. My point is that he needs to then show leadership by taking everybody along, bringing the president or the vice president to the table, and ensuring that the opposition that constitutes 62% of the vote in the vote share in the last election is also at the event.
But the opposition is invited.
You cannot consecrate the temple
But the
of
opposition
democracy
is
without an
invited.
opposition.
The opposition has decided to boycott the event.
The opposition is boycotting the event because of the lack of calling the president or the vice president to the event, both of whom are extremely central. They should be the ones inaugurating this complex. I'm just reiterating myself here.
But don't you think the opposition is also doing a disservice to the very idea of democracy by skipping an event like this?
I think, in fact, we will go down in history as having served democracy, as giving opposition to an event that is actually violating protocol and is against all forms of propriety.
Sure. So it's the allegations and counter-allegations continue. The controversy is only going to snowball ahead of the inauguration on Sunday. Unfortunately, I'm completely out of time, so I'll have to leave it at that. But I thank you both gentlemen for joining.